So hello everybody, my name is Sarah Estelle Turner. I'm the founder of the Essentially Flowers Centre for Flower and Vibrational Essences. And today I'd like you to meet one of the graduates of our diploma, Adrienne Daly, who is the owner of the Willow Rooms Holistic Clinic in Skerries in County Dublin. So thank you, Adrienne, for joining me.
Thank you, Sarah. Delighted to be here.
Yeah. So I know you have quite a lot of skills. You're a reflexologist, a craniosacral therapist, a mindfulness teacher, and now you also include essences in that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to tell us a little bit more about you and what you do?
Yeah, so I suppose, well, I'm a mother of two teenagers, so that's the first thing. And they've been some of my greatest teachers, my kids. I think most people probably could say that. And then, so when they were when my son was born, I wanted to work in the holistic field. So I took a course in reflexology. That was the start. And I knew it was only going to be the start. And I loved it, and it was brilliant. And I worked from home. Some of my kids were younger. I worked from home, and it really allowed me to do that, to be with them and work. And then I trained in a craniosacral therapy. And I just felt that the type of work I was doing then needed to be outside my home. So I found a little building in Skerries in the town, and so I did it all up, and I have 2 rooms here, and I work in one, and then I let out the other room to other fabulous therapists. So that's worked out really well. And I also, along the years, did I love working with children, and I think I trained as a Montessori teacher years ago.
Did you?
Okay. Yeah. And I worked with children on the autism spectrum as an ABA teacher. So I love that, so now I get to work with children in a different way. I get to work with babies and children, and then big babies, adults. So, and I always felt I wanted to work with nature. But I wasn't sure how that was going to be. So I used to think it was to be a herbalist, that I was going to be a herbalist. And when I looked into it, and I looked into it a few times, and when I looked into it, I just thought, there's something just doesn't fit with me. I couldn't even really tell you what it was. And then I spoke to one of the graduates of the course, Katrina Mullins. I never met Katrina before, but somebody gave me her name. Another friend gave me her name, and we had a chat, and I just thought, I think that's it. I think I can incorporate flower essence into my work.
Wow.
And I hadn't ever really taken too many flower essence myself. So I wasn't really 100% sure when I started how I was going to do it. Yeah, so that's me now.
So I hear this quite a lot, actually, that we have people coming into the diploma who obviously know what essences are. They may have taken some, but they don't really know what they are, but they're called. Something calls them. So it sounds like that with you, doesn't it? That there was a calling.
Yeah, and I think it was the right time as well. I knew about Rescue Remedy, and I had bought a few essences before, the batch flower essences. But I, didn't take them regularly or anything. And I knew there was probably much more than going into a shop and buying an essence and using that. I thought there has to be more to this. And little did I know that there was so much more.
I know.
That's the thing. There's just so much. Like, I still feel like I'm at the beginning, really,
And it's just bigger and bigger and bigger.
It just gets bigger. And now I can't imagine not working with them for myself as much as anybody else. So I think like, you know, most training that you do, you take on the journey yourself, and that's really for yourself. But it took me a little while. I think I was in one of the modules, and I think it was Serato. I don't know if you remember this. And I just, I think I was taking Serato or something. And I just got this message that the essences were to help me. I'd been thinking about, so every time you would talk about an essence, I'd think, oh, that'd be good for her, and that'd be good for him, and well, she'd probably benefit from that. Never thinking about it for myself, really. And then I just got this real strong message: hang on, these essences are here to help you first. And that was kind of really when my journey started with the essences, more so, which totally makes sense now. Yeah, but until that, it was more about, I was doing another training course, you know.
I think that's really profound. I mean, obviously it was for you, and I can feel that, but I think it's profound as well, in that as healers, therapists, whatever we call ourselves, we do tend to externalize things for others. I can find myself doing that as well, but what a gift to do something for yourself.
Yeah, well, I think as a therapist, you're much more comfortable thinking about other people, or, you know, it's something that is, I suppose I grew up like that, you know. I grew up very comfortably thinking about other people or trying to help other people. What would have found is probably a little bit more difficult to think about it for myself, you know. And I think with definitely through the diploma, I had that moment of, hang on, you know, like, how can we help other people if we don't, you know? And I know that, you know, like I've always known, oh, you know, everybody says that, don't they? How can you help other people unless you've helped yourself first? But I suppose maybe it was more ingrained, and I felt more ingrained then. You know, I felt like it was a physical thing that I felt in my body.
Yeah,
it's like a real message that this is the way it is. You know, this is the way it has to be. So, yeah.
It almost feels as well as if it helped you move through the materials in more depth, because you knew it was for you rather than someone else. And I'm not saying this in any other way than it's just a fact. When it's for someone else, we don't take it into ourselves. We kind of, it's surface. It's not really, it's not our caring is surface, but we don't internalize it. Whereas if you internalize it and then send it back out, it's super powerful.
Yeah.
So I really feel that for you. Thank you for sharing that. That's a really cool message. And it is how essences work. So when you came into the diploma, you've already shared a little bit how it was that you were in service, which is super cool. You still are, obviously. If you were to share with us, however it feels, however you can, however it feels comfortable, the difference between life before you took essences and your life now, what would the difference be?
I think the difference is that I feel really supported. And I kind of get excited as well about the fact that essences can help me, you know, to help me feel supported. And it's not another person, or it's not another thing that I have to go to. It's that I have the essences, and yeah, and I think that's the difference. I feel supported. So then my energy is better, and it means then that I can do my work without becoming depleted. Like now, when I come into my room, the first thing I do is I have like a spray bottle, and I spray the room with essences to clear the space. And I can't imagine not doing that now. I mean, that's the huge difference. Like that's just become such a habit. And when I wake up in the mornings, you know, like assessing how things are, I start to now think about, oh, I wonder what essence I'm going to use today. You know, when I come down to my room, what essence am I going to put in my water bottle? And what essence are going to come out if I am having a session with somebody. Sometimes what happens is, like, it feels like I could just get an essence saying to me, oh, this could be helpful. And that's another great support, because also it takes the pressure off me. Now, like, as a therapist, we can kind of feel the pressure when we're working so closely with somebody. And being an empath, you know, that I think the essences help me have those boundaries, you know, so that I can do my work without getting depleted. That's ultimately what I want to do. So yeah, it's a big difference, isn't it?
It is. They're such simple things, but they are absolutely, and I hear this quite a lot. I can't imagine life now without them, and what I'd do if they weren't there.
Yeah.
That's very beautiful. So what are you able to do now that you feel supported that you couldn't do before?
I think I'm able to hold space a bit more for myself, probably. You know, when we're in our training, especially as a craniosacral therapist, we talk about that a lot, you know, holding space. And it is kind of ultimately what we do in our job, like, is that we hold that space for somebody to come in exactly as they are. Like, I often say that to people, you know, just come in exactly as you are, you know, without feeling that you have to feel something or be a certain way or do a certain thing. So I facilitate that to happen. And I think in that facilitation, the essences can really help me hold space for myself, so that I am able to do it for other people in an easier way, in a lighter way. You know, it feels much lighter. I think that's the only way I can describe it. Like, the work isn't heavy, even though the work can be challenging. It's I'm lighter.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Does, absolutely. Yeah. Because your energy system is staying clear. I think often, again, I think often what happens because we're in a world which is difficult to live in right now. And so obviously as a therapist, we're going to feel and meet different aspects that aren't comfortable for the people that we help. And again, this happens to us all, no matter how long we've been doing this. But one of the things, as you know, you remember, Adrienne, that essences really help with is that we tend to attract people to our practices or to our businesses that are similar to us. So they're often very likely to bring into the space with us our own challenges.
Yeah.
And so rather than getting triggered internally, consciously, and it happens to everybody, so there's no judgment there.
No.
Kind of like go, oh, okay, there's that thing. So because I have acknowledged it in myself, now I can hold it for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds as if that's what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's actually what's happening, is that I'm able to feel supported so that I can then support others and not get triggered.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a wonderful gift for me.
Because obviously we're talking here about your professional life, but it's going to be the same. You're you when you go home as well.
Yes. And I think as well, I also throughout the course really kind of recognized, because I work with children and they're often the sensitive children, that's who I was. Or, you know, I was a sensitive child, but I was always told I was sensitive. And I kind of felt like, oh, it sounds like it's a bit of a negative thing, you know. But actually, I recognize myself in that. And I think the essences can help me to, they've helped me to recognize that that's actually a really good thing. That's why I'm doing the work I do, you know. So I can really see where the kids are coming from.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about that because I think it's a really important part of your work. So how do you use the essences with the children that come to see to you?
Well, children, like, you know, just get it anyway. You know, don't have to do a whole lot of explaining, you know, really. So, and it's not every child. I don't use it, you know, all the time in every session with somebody. It's just if it feels right, then I do it, and I'd introduce it. So, the first child I had, he was having some difficulties with going to school and stuff like that. So, I was doing craniosacral with him. And then through the training, I was saying to him, look, I'm doing the, flower essence. And I said, maybe, they might be able to help, because he was describing that his anxiety about school was, in a color. He was able to describe it. So we had a chat about that when he was on bed, like, what does it feel like? What's, this would be quite natural in craniosacral therapy too, especially with children. That we get them to describe in whatever way they can what it feels like in their body. So from that, I asked him, so what color would help? What color do you think would help with that? So, or, did he have an idea of something that might be able to help with that, if he could picture something? And he pictured a bubble. And so I had, at the time, I had decided that I was going to introduce him to the indigo essences. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, one of the essences in the box is called Bubble. So he picked that. So, like, that was amazing. Another day I had this little girl, and she came in, she had all these colors on her. She's gorgeous. And she loved flowers. We put all the cards out on the table, and she picked her cards, and they were all the colors that she was wearing. And I said, look, you look like the cards. And she was, oh yeah, So she was, so these kids are amazing. Like, they just do it naturally. It's not weird, or it's it's very easy. It's explaining to adults is often the issue. So I love working with kids, because they just go, okay, yeah, okay. And then, one of the first boy used to call it his magic potion and stuff like that.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, and like that, it's support for them. So I'm getting support in using the essences. So listen, like, it's just brilliant that they get the same thing as I do. And, and that's really what I wanted when people, especially kids, when they weren't in a session with me, that they would feel supported when they went outside, when they went to the school that maybe they were a little bit frightened, or, the teacher that they might be a bit scared of, or different situations they were having trouble with, that they had their magic potion with them to support them. And that has made a huge difference. So you made a huge difference to the children. And that's fantastic. That's,
isn't it?
what we want. Yeah.
I love that you're doing this work with children. I really do. They were part of my own healing, working with children at the beginning stages of my own practice as well. And I think it's really important. So yeah, it's lovely that you're doing that. Really, really lovely. And if it can help people see that, I think what we often hear with children is that when we work in a certain way with them, it gives them, there's very few circumstances in the outer world for children where they actually have control. They're told you've got to go to school and it's this time, and they're told what to do. They don't have a lot of choice.
Yeah.
And when they can come to somebody like you, or somebody that works with essences like this, they get to choose.
They get to choose. They're in control. I always say that, you know, you're the boss when you're in here, not me. I just help, you know. So yeah, and they you know, they do it quite naturally, you know.
They do, yeah.
So, yeah,
Mm.
it's been amazing, really brilliant.
Mm.
Love that, and I'm looking forward to continuing, you know, because as I said, it still feels like it's just the beginning.
Well, there is so much to learn. I think as more and more people start using them, we're starting to learn. Even somebody like myself that's been using essences for many, many years. I don't want to have to count ages too much, but you know, this, as consciousness grows, we're starting to learn more about how they work.
Yeah.
And how multidimensional they are, and how they can work on different levels at the same time. You know, there's not too many things that are so loving and accepting of all of us. So it is exciting times. And I think somebody like you is at the cutting edge. Really do think that.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is.
You know, and like each person that comes in that goes away with their own unique bottle of essence is another person that's can tell other people. And
absolutely, there's always a ripple effect, isn't there? Always. Energy modalities. So you took your journey with us. You've done it all online with us. I hope we get to meet you and I one day, but I'm sure we will actually.
yeah.
But you did it all online with us. Is there a favorite part that you had about it? I know that's a big question.
Yeah, I was trying to think about this. I think there was, you know, some favorite essences that I loved. And I loved the meeting up with everybody. That was really nice because you get to really get a sense of how it is for everybody, not just for yourself. You know, and like some of the conversations were quite deep, you know, for an online course as such, you know. And then the weekends that you held were brilliant. Loved that because you really felt like it really integrate it all into your system. I felt like that anyway. And the dancing.
Well, anybody that comes into my energy will know that.
I love dancing too, you see. So that was really nice for me too. And, you know, just to start, I think what I loved about it was that I always felt like, you know, all of these, let me see, the connection with nature, growing up as a kid and, you know, more trees than flowers there was for me. Then I was allowed to be like a kid and expand all that and go, oh God, this is okay. You know, the fact that I might talk to a tree, you know, or lots of other things that I talked to. So it was okay because other people were doing it as well and it wasn't crazy, you know. I love that. That was brilliant. That was really good for me. It was kind of an acknowledgement for me that what I felt all along, even as a kid growing up, was there, but I kind of put it in a little box and hid it away. Put a key on it, you know.
Glad that you were able to unlock that part of yourself.
Yeah.
That is the multidimensional aspect, and it's kind of what you've been talking about at things, the permission to have this for you. You didn't have to give it away. You could take it for you first and foremost. All of those things are quite precious. And I think it's also precious is what I've always called my flower friends. I have many flower friends who some of whom I've not yet met because they live in very different countries. And we've taken journeys together, much like the one you did. And even if we don't speak to each other for years, we're still deeply connected because we shared something that was really deep. And I think I hear that from what you're saying as well.
Yeah, totally. And then you know, when I was finishing up, I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? You know, And then you were saying about the graduate heart space gatherings. That's what they're called, isn't it? And so I thought, oh, that's a nice way to still keep connected. Because people are from all over the world, and even if it was a physical course, it would be hard to get everybody together anyway. Like if we were meeting, I mean, physically.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the advantages of our online world that we can do that now. So,
yeah.
Thank you, Adrienne. It's beautiful to hear how you gifted yourself with this first and foremost. And from that now is coming a lot of joy, a lot of more presence, being able to be more you.
Yeah.
And
yeah, totally. And yeah, I'm so delighted I took the journey, and took the chance. And yeah, even if in the beginning I was like, why am I doing this? Throughout the course, you get to know why, all the reasons why, and that was brilliant.
Well, I'm glad you did as well, because all of these people now get to enjoy what you're sharing, especially the children. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to share? Anything we haven't spoken about that you feel you'd like to share?
Well, I think if anybody that's listening to this kind of feels like, will I do it? How will I incorporate this into my work? When I started, I didn't know how I was going to incorporate it. Wasn't very clear to me at the time, but it's more and more clear now, and it just happens naturally. So yeah, just to take the chance and enjoy it. And even if you don't plan on bringing it out into the wider world, as a practitioner, it's such a brilliant thing to do for yourself. You learn so much, and the connections you make are great.
Yeah, that's what we most wish for. Is that
and I think we're held very much, held very well. Like I never felt like you'd forgotten about me just because I wasn't physically in your space.
Okay,
that was nice. A really nice. You've got a great team of people.
I do. We have a good flower team.
Yeah.
Nice, Adrienne. Well, thank you so much.
Very welcome. Thank you for asking.
I'm going to hear more about this, but I wish you really well with your work and spreading this to all the people that need to do it, that live near you and maybe don't live near you as well. They'll find out about you. Thank you very much for talking to us today and sharing what we call your flower story.
Great. Thank you very much.
Welcome.